of those who are coordinating the response to the severe weather. I'll let you turn your microphone on. All right. So we now know what the election date is, 7th of November. New Zealanders face a very clear choice at this year's election between a government that's offering more cuts, more division and more negativity, or a change of government to a government with a positive vision for New Zealand's future. One that's focused on the issues that matter to New Zealanders, getting Kiwis back into work, dealing with the crisis in our health system, making healthcare affordable for all New Zealanders so they can stay healthy, restoring the dream of home ownership for New Zealanders, making sure that those who rent are getting a good deal and are getting secure accommodation, and really tackling the cost of living where the government have failed over the last 2.5 years. The choice is a very, very clear one. All Christopher Luxon and National are offering is more blame, more excuses, more negativity, more cuts. New Zealand is a better country than that. We have a better opportunity. We've got an opportunity to build the sort of future that will see young New Zealanders wanting to stay here in New Zealand. Last year, a record number of New Zealanders gave up on New Zealand and left the country looking for opportunities that should be available here in New Zealand. That is an indictment on Christopher Luxon's leadership, and it's an indictment on his government. We need to do better as a country. All National's offering is more of the same, more excuses, more backtracking, more going backwards. They do not feel the pain that New Zealand families are feeling right now, and they do not care. We deserve a government that's going to put working Kiwis first, that's going to make sure that New Zealanders who go out every day, slog their guts out and work hard, actually have the opportunity to get ahead. National cannot offer that future, Labour will.
You've got about 10 months till the election. Are you and your team ready for this?
We are absolutely fired up and we are ready to go. The election cannot come soon enough. The sooner New Zealand gets rid of this government, the sooner we can start to move the country forward.
What sort of campaign are you planning?
We're planning a very, very vigorous and energetic campaign. Our campaign, of course, will be two-pronged. We will be offering New Zealanders a positive vision of the future, and we will be holding this government to account for their failure to deliver on the change and the promises that they made New Zealanders at the last election.
Mr Hipkins, you've already had a shot at going for Prime Minister. You didn't win that time, so why should voters vote for you this time?
The Labour Party spent the last 2.5 years listening to New Zealanders. We understand why New Zealanders didn't vote for us at the last election. We understand they were looking for something different from us. We have refreshed ourselves, we've re-energised ourselves, we've changed, and we are offering a very different Labour Party at this election to what we were offering last time.
This morning you said this
Can you just describe what that means? What is a different Labour Party?
It means we're going to be very focused on the issues that matter to New Zealanders. We're going to have a different slate of candidates. There'll be some new faces, but there'll also be new ideas. We're focused on jobs, health, homes and real action on the cost of living. We know that those are the issues that really matter to New Zealanders, and we heard very clearly from people at the last election that they didn't think we were focused enough on the things that matter to them.
You said this morning that you suspected Christopher Luxon would hold on as long as possible for the election. Is November 7 holding on as long as possible, or is that a normal time?
It's a late election relative to what we've seen recently. We've typically seen New Zealand going to the polls in October rather than in November. That suggests that he's desperate to hold on as long as he can.
Chris, are you confident that with that November date for the election that you'd be able to get coalition talks out of the way before Christmas?
One of the challenges of a November election is by the time you actually get the vote count in, it does take longer and it does push you up closer to Christmas. So my message to Kiwis is, if you want a clear election result, if you want a good, stable government in place before Christmas, vote Labour.
Chris Luxon, you can work with ahead of the election, so because inevitably it's going to come up. Can you work with New Zealand First, for example? When will you tell voters?
We'll set that out later in the year.
Christopher Luxon has said he'll be ready to have a government by Christmas. Can you make that obligation, that promise to Kiwis as well, or is it not really that clear?
Well, I mean, he confidently predicted it would take a matter of days to form government last time, and it was one of the longest coalition negotiations New Zealand's ever seen. I think New Zealanders can see Christopher Luxon's track record on this and know that it's just another hollow slogan.
You mentioned a
few new faces, and we saw Adrian Rurafe today announce that he's going to be stepping back. We've seen Duncan Webb announce that he's been stepping down as well. Is there anybody else in your caucus that is going to be resigning between now and the election?
Not expecting any more retirements. There's some very vigorous, candidate selections going on across the country at the moment. That's a sign of the health of the Labour Party, the healthy state of the Labour Party. A lot of people wanting to be our candidates at this election.
Christopher Luxon.
You'll have to wait and see.
Christopher Luxon told people to party vote national if they want a stable government. Does that show he's worried about the Influence Act in New Zealand First?
Well, look, he has been the biggest party in Parliament. He's led the biggest party in Parliament for the last 2.5 years and failed to deliver a stable government. He's let Winston Peters and David Seymour run circles around him. All of the polls are showing that National will be a smaller part of the next government, should they manage to be in government. That suggests that if you want stable government, vote Labour.
All the polls are also showing if you want to be in government, you need either Te Pāti Māori or New Zealand First. People would look at that and say that's a bit chaotic.
Labour's support has been consistently increasing since the last election. We ended the year getting closer to the 40 mark, and we're intending to do significantly better than that.
A few polls have shown that you could do it just with the Greens. Are you confident?
We're just starting to build our campaign. You just wait.
You want to do this without New Zealand First and without Te Pāti Māori?
Labour's intending to build our vote significantly higher than we've got it now.
But without Te Pāti Māori?
We'll set those things out later on.
Mr. Hipkins, we're out here in West Auckland. How important are the outer suburbs of major cities going to be for this election?
We know that Auckland's really important to us. We did lose a lot of support in Auckland in the 2023 election. We've been working hard over the last 2.5 years to build that back. We're very encouraged by the progress that we've made here in Auckland. We've been really seeing a big on-the-ground increase in our support, but we've got more work to do. Areas like West Auckland, where we are here today, are areas that are really important to Labour. We're going to be targeting them very, very actively.
Do you have any intensification?
What is the strategy for an outer suburb election campaign?
Yeah, well, talking about the issues that matter most to New Zealanders, of course, is important to winning the election. Here in places like West Auckland, knowing that there are good, well-paid jobs available, knowing that housing is affordable for all people living here, knowing that they can get the healthcare they need when they need it, and knowing that the government's actually doing more on the cost of living than just talking about it. These are things that are really important to people on the ground here. That's the very clear message that we've heard from them. So you can expect to see our campaign really focusing in on those issues.
There's a lot of intensification issue that sees speculation that Chris Bishop and Christopher Luxon aren't seeing eye to eye on it. What's your thoughts on that issue?
Oh, it's a massive slap in the face to Chris Bishop. He's been working on this for the last 2.5 years. It's now clear he's going to be overruled by Christopher Luxon, who's panicking because he's seen national support in Auckland collapsing. It's not just collapsing because of house prices, it's collapsing because National's failed to deliver.
Would Labour keep that 2 million figure?
Well, we haven't even seen what the government are proposing yet.
Part of Christopher Luxon's kind of reason for going late is that those economic indicators are trending, I guess, more favourably for National. What is your response to that?
This time last year, Christopher Luxon confidently predicted that the economy was in recovery, unemployment had peaked, and that things were going to get better. Since then, we saw the economy shrink, more people lose their jobs, the government's finances deteriorate further, and the economic going get even harder for New Zealand families. Christopher Luxon is out of touch with New Zealanders, holding on to the very, very last possible date he could have called the election, shows how desperate he is.
Chris, an MP in India has announced that the Labour Party supported the free trade deal. Have you?
Sorry, what was that?
An MP in India has posted on X that the Labour Party supported the free trade deal.
The New Zealand Labour Party, because there is a Labour Party in India too, so we've just got to be clear about that. We're going to be talking about that at our caucus meeting next week. We have had briefings from the government. We are very supportive of free trade agreements. We always have been. I stand very firmly behind Labour's track record on trade agreements. We negotiated and concluded the free trade agreements with the United Kingdom, with the European Union, the CPTPP, an upgrade of our free trade agreement with China. All of these things happened during Labour's time in government, and we managed to get the National Party support for those things. I think trade is incredibly important to New Zealand. So we're working through that now. The government have offered us briefings on that. We've accepted those offers, and we will consider those next week.
And do you have, if you're a kiwi fruit grower right now, who's waiting to find out what's going on with this, are you you trending towards yes? Is it likely to be?
Well, I mean, you would see from the comments that I have just made, trade is incredibly important to New Zealand, and I don't want to see it become a political football. But we have to consider the deal. We've got to know what we're signing up for. But it is important that New Zealand continues to trade with the world, and that we continue to open up opportunities for New Zealand to trade with the world.
What's around migration and how it's been included in this deal? Are you scared? Are you worried about that number?
Two of the things that we're looking at very closely are the issues around migration and also the issues around the investment requirements for New Zealand to invest in India and the potential consequences of not hitting that target. So those are two things that we want to understand before we plough on forward. And so we're working through that now.
You mentioned political football before. What do you make of the discourse between Nicola Willis, Winston Peters and Dr. Anna Bremen around this statement of support to the Fed chair, and then Anna Bremen putting out the statement, Winston saying she's, quote, out of line or stay in her lane, and then Nicola Willis reining her in a little bit?
I think Anna Bremen is perfectly within her rights as Reserve Bank Governor to express her views on the importance of the independence of central banks, such as the Federal Reserve. Yes, the Reserve Bank is independent. No, that does not extend to foreign policy. But I did not see anything in that that would have given me concern had I been Prime Minister.
And now that we've got an election date in mind, there's been some speculation from the government ministers and MPs that you would give the finance portfolio to Chloe Swarbrick. Is that something that you are thinking about at this stage? Can you rule it out completely?
I've already made it very, very clear. In a government led by Labour, the Prime Ministership will be held by me, and the Minister of Finance will be Barbara Edmonds, and those are non-negotiable.
We saw at the back end of last year that Labour put out a small flurry of policies. Are you going to wait to see that those numbers that come out in the budget before you release any more, or are you planning to release more before then?
There'll be more policy as we go through the year. Some of the issues around the fiscal plan, so how we will balance up the government's books and any major spending commitments and so on, those things will come later in the year.
In your opening speech, you criticised Nicola Willis, for spending more, the blowout, etc. of the deficit. Aside from the capital gains tax, Labour has yet to bring any kind of major savings policy, and obviously you're spending that on free GPs. What savings initiatives would Labour look at?
We'll set out a lot of things as we go through the year, including things we will do differently from the government, areas where we think the public sector can perform better in how we might achieve that, areas where we think that we can get efficiency gains. We'll also be setting out areas where we do think the government needs to invest more. Despite their talk about building the future, the National Party, the national government, have cut investment in infrastructure by billions of dollars. They're not building the future, they're cutting the future out from under New Zealanders.
Chris, how central is Auckland going to be in this campaign for you guys? Will you be looking to take the Auckland Central City seat from Chloe Swarbrick?
I'm looking at getting votes everywhere we can get them around the country. Auckland's clearly very important to us, but I want votes from all New Zealanders.
The text of the India Free Trade Agreement hasn't been released publicly yet.
Yeah.
So have you seen it? What kind of assurance are you getting around that investment?
So our spokespeople have had briefings from the government on that. I haven't had the chance to sit down and engage with that yet, but of course I'll be doing that before we discuss it as a team on Tuesday. So I understand that some more information, the government supplied our spokespeople with some more information in terms of the detailed briefings that they've been getting. And so I want to have the opportunity to consider that in detail.
And it's election year yet again, I guess. Do you think there should be a referendum for a 4-year term?
I personally support a 4-year term. I understand the government committed to a referendum on a 4-year term. My message to New Zealanders is I think you'll get better government out of a 4-year term. Having said that, sooner this election's over and done with and this government's gone, the better for the country.
What about retirement age? I mean, that was something that came up within Christopher Luxon's speech the other day. He said at some point in time that will go up to a bit higher. What is the Labour Party's position on that?
Well, we don't have a retirement age in New Zealand. We have an age of eligibility for New Zealand superannuation. And Christopher Luxon saying to hard-working New Zealanders that they have to wait longer to be able to access superannuation is not the answer. It means that for New Zealanders who have worked hard in manual labouring jobs, whose life expectancy is lower than for other New Zealanders, they will be particularly disadvantaged by that. It once again shows how out of touch Christopher Luxon is with working New Zealanders.
So to be clear, the Labour Party won't go into the election with any sort of policy that shifts the eligibility for superannuation?
The age of eligibility will not change.
What about indexation? Because obviously currently it's indexed to CPI, to wages, which benefits all the other benefits that go to people who are working age.
We will set out, comprehensive policy across all areas, including superannuation, KiwiSaver, and so on, as election year unfolds. This is election year, so you'll see from Labor much more in the policy space.
Would Labor be open to lowering the superannuation age for Māori?
That's not something that we've considered.
On KiwiSaver, you had some time to think about now the government's National's push to increase the rate to 6%. Is that something Labor could get behind? It's your policy from 30 years ago.
Position is the same as it's always been. You can't trust National on KiwiSaver. This is a national party that cut KiwiSaver twice, cut government contributions to KiwiSaver twice, and is now saying that KiwiSaver is the answer. This is a national party that cut contributions to the New Zealand Superannuation Fund on pretty much every year that they were in government. When it comes to securing the retirement of New Zealanders, National cannot be trusted.
Do you think Kiwis can afford to have their pay go down essentially by 2 or 3% to increase their contribution rate currently?
When the National Party announced that they wanted to increase KiwiSaver contributions, I indicated that was something the Labour Party was very open to supporting. But the key thing for us is how you support low-income New Zealanders and self-employed New Zealanders through that kind of a change. We know that a number of self-employed New Zealanders are not currently in KiwiSaver. We know that a number of low-income New Zealanders, even if they are in KiwiSaver, have opted out of making contributions to it. And so that is something that we need to work through.
Got any thoughts about the Prime Minister umming and ahhing about going to Waitangi?
The Prime Minister should be at Waitangi. He should front up. It is our national day. It is important that the Prime Minister is there. He shouldn't be running scared. If he's running scared, it shows that he's running scared of his own track record.
Did you see the CTU's Mood of the Workforce survey?
I've seen reporting of it.
What do you
Yeah.
make of the Green Party co-leaders receiving the most support higher than you?
I don't read too much into that at all.
Can I just ask about your new social media? What is this? What is this image?
You'll be pleased to know that I didn't design it myself, we've done some refreshing of our social media content, and you'll see plenty more of it.
Is this tapping into around Mamdani's campaign? Are you tapping into that?
Not necessarily. Our campaign will be a uniquely New Zealand campaign.
Any ideas from the middle?
We always look at ideas that we can gather from around the world, but our campaign will be about New Zealand and New Zealanders.
You've also hired quite a controversial social media figure to run or be part of your social media campaign going forward. What's the sort of the thinking around that?
Well, social media will be a much bigger part of this campaign than any previous campaign. Social media has been progressively growing in its influence in election campaigns over the last few electoral cycles in New Zealand. I imagine that's going to continue.
Chris, what's your plan to Ratana?
I'll be heading to Ratana on Friday. So my understanding at this point, is always a little fluid, but my understanding is that all the political leaders will be welcomed together on Friday. I will be there to celebrate Labour's special relationship with the Ratana Church. It's always been important to us. I've been every year that I've been leader of the Labour Party. In fact, I've been most years that I've been a member of Parliament. I tend to continue up with that tradition. Absolutely, and I know that one of Adrian's reasons for wanting to make his announcement today is that he didn't want to go along on Friday, knowing that he'd decided that he was not going to be standing again and not having told his whānau about that decision.
Sorry, just to circle back to the Indian MP's post, just double checked, it is definitely the New Zealand Labour Party, and he's got 8 million followers, so why would he get this idea that
obviously I can't comment on tweets from around the world that I'm not responsible for, but New Zealand Labour Party will be considering this at our caucus meeting on next Tuesday.
Does this election date change anything about another large date that you have coming up?
It means I'll probably have to start having that conversation. We did say last year we would wait till the election day and that a wedding date was likely to be sometime in 2027.
Will you have a press bench?
At my wedding? Are you angling for an invite, Jason?
Oh, don't invite me. Sorry.
And on social media briefly, are you going to be releasing your summer playlist?
It hasn't been a priority for me, no.
Can you be really clear? What should Christopher Luxon be saying right now around Trump's threats to EU over Greenland? Should New Zealand have a stronger stance on this?
New Zealand should be principled and independent in its foreign policy, and that means standing up for international law. The United States' threats against Greenland are a threat towards international law. What they have done around Venezuela is also in breach of international law, and New Zealand should continue to be principled in calling that out. We call out other countries when they breach international law. We should make sure that we are being consistent across the board on that.
Do you expect foreign policy, do you expect that international affairs will have a larger part to play in this election than usually, given...
I think that is likely. I think New Zealanders are pretty anxious about the state of the world at the moment.
And is the United States a rogue nation?
The United States is pushing the boundaries in a way that New Zealand should be principled in calling out.
Do you have any thoughts about the Prime Minister should have a reshuffle? You got any suggestions what portfolios should be moved in?
Oh, look, he can reshuffle the chairs on the deck of the Titanic as much as he likes. At the end of the day, he's now down to his last couple of 100 days as Prime Minister. I think New Zealanders want to see progressive, positive change. They want to know that there's a vision for the future of the country, not just a whole bunch of management mumbo-jumbo.
What about on your side?
You spoke about having new energy. This is new Labour Party coming into this election. What specific lessons have you taken personally in terms of campaigning compared to last time? What are we going to see from Chris Hipkins this year?
Oh, look, I'm not going to set out all of our campaign strategy, but you'll see a different style of campaigning this election to the last one. Yep, including from me.
Are you,
you have previously acknowledged, I think, that one of the things that went wrong for you last time was that you didn't pivot your campaigns like it was set up for Jacinda Ardern, and you didn't pivot to make it a Chris Hipkins campaign. So what does a Chris Hipkins campaign look like?
You're about to see.
you mentioned before the Titanic line about the reshuffle. Have you got a reshuffle on your cards in terms of your caucus?
Yeah, there'll be some minor reshuffling. It's not going to be a wholesale reshuffle, but there'll be some reallocation of portfolios based on the retirements coming up. So Duncan Webb and Adrian Rudrafan. These things always, it's like a bit of a game of chess. You move a few pieces around. It always involves a few subsequent changes from that.
Are the big hitters on your front bench still remaining in place?
Absolutely.
Do you think some of the candidates you have lined up could go straight to cabinet should you win? You've got a former Grant Robertson staffer, the former staffer yourself. You've got a highly respected Northland doctor.
I'll set this all out for you right now. I'm going to be very clear. Should Labor lead the next government, I will be the Prime Minister. Barbara Edmonds will be the Minister of Finance. I'm allocating no other ministerial roles until after the election. We have to earn the right to govern first.
What about Co? What about speakers?
What's that?
What about the Speaker? Adrian was obviously the main candidate for your Speaker.
Well, Greg's already put his hand up for that. Of course, he'll be a very strong contender for it. But again, I'm not allocating any specific roles until after the election.
You mentioned finance, though. I mean, is that just Labor, or is there a world where that could be a co-finance ministership?
Barbara Edmonds will be the Minister of Finance.
Associate Minister?
Oh, look, I'm not allocating portfolios. I've been very clear. We will hold the Prime Ministership, the Minister of Finance. The Minister of Finance being the Minister of Finance as it is currently constructed. That will be with Labor and it will be with Barbara Edmonds.
And just to be clear, so is Greg O'Connor definitely standing on the list if he wants to be Speaker? Because we're still having an eye over that.
Well, look, those are decisions for Greg, but we've already had a conversation where he's indicated an interest in being Speaker, and I think he'd be a very strong contender for that job.